Hallelujah. It looks like Flysky has finally recognized ELRS protocol CRSF as a valid protocol for their radios. After years and years of flying Flysky radios, one of the cheapest, most affordable radios of all time, the i6 right here, I have many of these radios. They are great, but they are on the proprietary receiver protocol that Flysky has, the AD protocol. But we're not going to get into that in this video. This video is all about Flysky moving over to ELRS. Finally, thank you FPV gods, because Flysky has finally joined our club of FPV. We are a DIY hobby, and right now it's all about ELRS. So I think we should fly this radio in this review, because it wouldn't really be a review without me actually binding it up. Now, the cool thing is that I will put a link down in the video description where you can use the open source ELRS firmware updater. It is an online updater you can do in your browser. Try to use Chrome for that, and a data cable to hook up to the top of the radio. And once we update it, it's going to unlock ELRS on this radio. Very, very cool. And then you can bind it to other non-Flysky ELRS receivers, like the one on this Pico 2 here that we reviewed on the channel a while back. So pretty cool that we can do that. So I think we should take this one outside and fly it together. After that, we'll come back to the bench and we'll look at this radio a little closer. The ProArt PA01, quite a bit smaller than the Nirvana they released about 5 or 6 years ago now, and much cooler with full color screen, not a touch screen, but it will do both protocols on here. Multi-protocol radio from Flysky. Finally, ELRS on a Flysky radio. I know a lot of Flysky fans out there are rejoicing today. So let's fly it together, and then after that, I'll come back in. I'll show you how to update it to ELRS in a little mini tutorial, and then I will show you some of the features and the functions in this radio, and the things that I like and don't like, and so on. Here we go.
All right, my friends. Whoa, that self-centering stick, I gotta fix that. You have to open up the radio and do it manually inside, because from the outside I wasn't able to do it. So I kind of stuck flying with a little bit of a self-centering stick. It's kind of actually helping me kind of keep a consistent throttle, oddly. Not my typical freestyle setup, so I will be adjusting that later. But I just wanted to get this thing outside and actually fly it and give you guys some feedback on like what this radio actually flies like. So, first of all, the thickness of this radio feels good in the hands. It feels much thicker and more substantial than the Pocket. It feels a lot lighter compared to this radio. This radio, I mean, out of the box originally, like looking at it, I was kind of blown away with the features and the quality, the screen. I do wish it was a touchscreen, but I mean, you can't have everything in a tiny, affordable radio. But it feels good in the hand. The gimbals, they don't feel like the highest quality gimbals, but they do feel fairly loose. And again, you can adjust the tension from the factory. I think they're a little bit looser, but it will definitely be a good radio for FPV freestyle, because it feels like they have the right tension set exactly for freestyle pilots. So it's not too loose, but typically a little looser than I fly. So, but that's totally up to the pilot. Now, as far as pinchers go, most pinchers are probably going to be able to fly this on a little easier than the Pocket. Let's try a little dive there. Now I'm flying an acro, so I'm just kind of like feeling out the acro feel of it, which feels all right. But today it's a little bit wet outside. I really don't want to crash, so I'm taking a little bit of a risk here for you guys flying like this. But it feels pretty natural. It does have a much more, again, like a much more solid feel to it. I'd like to see like a max edition of this with like aluminum, like maybe like a 2-position arm switch would be pretty awesome. And maybe if they did some miniature switches, kind of like what the GX12 has, would be kind of cool. Because these are plastic 3-position switches for, say, the buzzer or your mode switch. But I feel like it's a solid smaller radio. It feels more substantial than any of the other smaller radios I've flown. It's not as big as the Nirvana back in the day, which was really an odd shape, and I'm not sure why they shaped the Nirvana like that, but it had really long handles on it, almost like an old school like NES controller. I think they were kind of inspired by that controller. But this one seems to fit the bill for 2025, that sort of more modern, sleek look to it. And the screen really is nice. But now I'm getting more used to the sticks and it feels comfortable. So if you were to get this, I would say this would be a great radio for anything from say um, maybe 5 inch. I wouldn't really fly a 7 inch on this, but I would freestyle a 5 inch on this radio, no problem. I'm sure there's guys out there that would just completely rip this radio on a 5 inch, and perfect for tiny whoops. So let's go back to the bench now and let's talk about this radio. And let me show you a little firmware update, how that works out. All right, my friend, welcome back from the flight test. The i6 radio you're looking at right here was one of the original Flysky creations, probably a decade ago now. We've had a ton of variations and iterations of this radio over the past 10 years. And dare I say, one of the cheapest transmitters of all time, around $25 to start back in the day. Prices have gone way up since then. And this has to be hands down one of the radios that really got the most people flying in our hobby all around the world because it was so cheap. But you were locked down to that Flysky protocol, the AD protocol, or the AFHDS protocol. This one did take 4 AA batteries in the back. People used to mod these antennas way out to do some semi-long range with them. And then we also have the FS transmitter. This one came out more recently, more ergonomic design, the ST8 version, but still flying on that Flysky protocol. Now, fast forward to like late 2025, we've got the ProArt PA01 just came out with the same standard Flysky protocol on there, but now it has 2 new things added to the radio: EdgeTx, thank God, hallelujah, Jesus Christ for that, as well as ELRS. So yeah, finally, Flysky is doing ELRS on their radios. I think this is huge for people that want a more budget transmitter. And in a way, should Radiomaster be worried? Because, Flysky can create really nice radios. Look at the Palladian series, and then look at some of the cheaper ones like the i6. They can go from very cheap to very, very nice radios. The Nirvana was kind of, I would say, not very popular in a way. Could have been done better maybe, and it was a little quirky. But now I think we have something that has like maybe even a real competitor to the super popular and very cheap Radiomaster Pocket. And I have to say, this radio does not come with batteries, so you're going to have to order 2 18650s, and you're going to have to remove these back panels. Once you do, you can put in your 18650 back here. It's not super hard to do. One other thing that I should mention, that if you're thinking about buying this radio, mine on the box, it said self-centering. So it came with a self-centering right stick, which kind of drives me crazy. There is a hole here. There's also another hole to access the gimbal retention screws, which I released them as far as I could get them, and it didn't make a lot of difference here with this stick. So I'm gonna have to go open the back of this radio up and get in here and do that manually. Maybe even doing some mod on that to make this stick go back to 0, because right now it's just stuck at center, and that's really annoying for flying FPV. To turn this radio on, it's kind of tricky. Press it once and it does show you the LEDs. They start to flash, which is cool. Press it once and press again. It's kind of tricky again. You have to do it several times to get it to work. Okay, press once and hold. You'll see these 4 light up. Then we're going into EdgeTx. Thank God. Yeah, throttle warning there because self-centering again. But I think the screen looks really good. Over on the left-hand side, we have page forward and page back button. In the very middle, we have the power button here. We have the speaker. We have a few different mode buttons right in the center here that can be programmed, as well as your trim buttons T1 through T4. On the right side, we have the jog wheel and selector button there. We have a return button as well as the model button. And on the bottom of the radio, we have a JST connector here. We have two magnets underneath here for attaching on different accessories, as well as three gold, what appear to be buttons right there, but those are actually charging terminals for putting this radio down into the dock. It is in a separate accessory that you can buy for this radio, which is kind of a neat option I haven't seen before. Now the gimbals are nothing special. They do appear to be just plastic style gimbals. They're not Hall gimbals or anything like that, but they do have a nice option here. There is a nut right here, and you can adjust the height by moving this nut down a little bit. And once you get it flush with the base, then you can adjust your height of your sticks, which is kind of cool. Make them shorter or taller is a very nice option for this radio. And across the top of the radio, we have two 3-position switches here for your flight modes, as well as maybe you want to add GPS return to home or something like that. We have a momentary 2-position switch here, a flat panel switch for, say, your arm switch. We also have two jog wheels that feel kind of notchy. Over on the right-hand side, we have a momentary release switch, and we have a retractable antenna, which is kind of cool, horizontal or vertical. Then we also have the USB port for charging as well, and firmware updates, which I'm going to go ahead and show you now. Then we'll take a look at the screen. Okay, so I'm going to give you the link in the video description down below. You'll need to update the EdgeTx firmware as well as the ELRS firmware for this to work. Now go ahead and click on RF firmware. Let's do ELRS real quick in this tutorial. We're going to go through this. Now you need to start up your radio. And this is how you get to update the radio. You're going to scroll down to the bottom right here once you plug the cable in, and you'll select USB serial VCP. So once I have that selected, click that jog wheel. Now you'll see it show up in the software. So go ahead and select the serial port there for the cable. Okay, now we are connected to the software. If you don't have a data cable, this won't work. So we're going to go to the next step, and you're all set for the update. And now we have to do is start flashing. So we're going to click start flashing here, and you'll see it prompt again. Just go ahead and select the debug there, or the USB serial port, sorry, connect. And so we're going to go into the installation process. I don't want to bore you with the whole process here, but it takes a couple minutes. And you should see it go all the way to 100%. And now you're good, and you need to restart the radio. Okay, so now that your EdgeTx firmware update is done and you've updated the ELRS firmware for the internal module, now we can access ELRS options inside this radio. But before you do that, before you have it available, you have to go in there and activate it inside the system menu as well as the model menu. So we're going to go to the model menu first, and I just love this full color screen. If you press the page button, it'll take you to your channel maps here and show you the traditional EdgeTx screen. Now click on the model menu real quickly. A short press there will take you to this menu, and use your jog wheel to scroll down to internal RF. And now you're going to need to change it from off to CRSF. Before you did this update, you only saw the AF protocol in there, which was the standard Flysky protocol. So if you want to go back right now, we can go back. And now we're going to press the system button, and it's tricky to find the system menus on here. So press the jog wheel once, it'll bring up this menu, and then you can scroll over to radio settings. We already did it on the model menu, so now we can go to Express ELRS there, and it should load up. Now, if it didn't load up, you're going to need to restart the radio. And once you do that, you'll see this menu pop up. But check that out, Flysky PA01. You can come down here and we can change our packet rate from 150, all the way down to 100, 150, 250, and I believe this radio will power all the way up to 500 milliwatts. So it has a pretty good amount of power for a small radio. Some of these smaller radios only do like, say, 100 milliwatt. So it does also support maybe a F1000 there. We can go all the way back down to what we're going to use for Pavo Pico 2, which is 150. And then you have all the rest of the normal functions in here for ELRS and your bind button here. Now, it was cool. Once I got this set up, I was able to bind other receivers besides the Flysky receiver that was included with the radio. And I'll show you that now. So this is the receiver that came in the box, and it does appear to have 3 different tabs on the back. So it is 5-volt ground and the signal wire. It doesn't appear to have 4 terminals on there, so it strikes me as the standard protocol for Flysky, which is totally fine, but it is nice to see that they include a receiver in there. So you could use this one right out of the box without any type of radio firmware upgrades. If you wanted to put this on a quad and attach it to a UART, you could use it under the iBus protocol, I believe, which is what this should be set to. Now, the cool thing is that it does have a nano module bay on the back right here. So if you pull this up, you will get to the nano module bay. Kind of a nice, clear smoke plastic cover. So Crossfire, folks, you're not left out in the cold with this radio. So if you want to run some Crossfire Nano or Tracer on this radio, it's likely that you can. Now, the cool thing is here that if we go to the system menu, there is TBS Agent inside the system menu. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I did enjoy flying it. I also like the fact that you can get in here and do some pinching action if you're a pincher, or if you're a thumbs guy, you can definitely do that. I think the radio has enough width to it and sort of girth this direction. I said girth. And the external module, you have the option to finally do ELRS on here, which is freaking fantastic. Thank God for that. It does have a pretty loud mic if you want to turn that up or down. You have the option to use 18650s in the back, and also the alternate accessory that you can get for it, the charging dock, which I think would be pretty cool to become, come home from your fly session and just be like, boom, it's going to automatically charge the LiPo inside there. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if it works with the 18650s to charge from the dock. We'll have to see about that. In the manual, it said something about LiPos and only using a LiPo, a 2S LiPo to charge on the dock. So we'll have to see if they send us that. We can show you that as well. I'm also curious to find out what this is on the very bottom. This is a JST harness connector on the bottom for maybe some other type of peripheral. But the sticks are also removable. I didn't show you guys that before, but they come off and they have storage spot on the side right here. So that's kind of cool. You can do that. And just go right back on there. And to turn it off, since the battery's getting low, you can do that. And inside the menus also, again, you have some LED controls, which is kind of nice. And, also, I think one of the most important things to know about this particular radio is that they are finally a gold sponsor for EdgeTx. So they're pretty serious about having EdgeTx on their radios. Maybe we'll see more EdgeTx on Flysky radios in the future. I think that would be awesome. I just love the fact that I can now take this Flysky radio and fly any of my other ELRS receivers, because I had mentioned recently that I'm moving on from using TBS. So yeah, it's just the ecosystem of ELRS is just expanding in all directions, and I think it's really smart of companies going forward, even American companies, to be getting into ELRS. So that is very important. ELRS and EdgeTx and keeping things open source, very important in this hobby. So if you want to check out this transmitter down below, I'll put the link to their website. It may not be out yet, but it will come out very soon, and they will release it. If you want to use my link and you're watching this later, we'll get some credit for making this video for you. That'd be really awesome, because affiliate links actually help channels survive.
all of this FPV drone turmoil that we're seeing out in the world. So I appreciate you guys. And don't forget to get in on that giveaway on the TX15S coming up, or TX15 coming up on the channel. Just like, comment, subscribe. It's that one sitting right over there. I'm going to give that away on October 20th. So stay tuned for that. You guys take care, and hope you enjoyed checking out the Pro Art PA01. Pretty freaking cool. Radiomaster Pocket, you got some competition. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care.